you'll have to put up with me. You've probably all seen, looks like Jim. Well, first of all, my definition. You know what puttering is? If you know what puttering is, it's the act of doing dozens of little chores that no one knows need to be done, that no one wants to be done, and that no one notices if it's done. So I would probably be the only one who takes a look at a truck tire pressure gauge. I'm sure you've seen them, and make it work. Next slide. There's lots of them around. You see them at swap meets. I'm sure you've all seen them. And they were an advertising gimmick. So embossed on the outside edge is different names. Next one. So that one is FOK. But they don't work if you've ever tried them. They don't work as you find them nowadays. Next one. So I figured out how they come apart. And I don't suppose I have a pointer, do I?
Maybe. Oh, sure.
Well, I can just walk up here to them, can I? So you've got the barrel, the part that you see. That's all the bigger it normally is. Inside that barrel is a so
Green guy. There you go.
inside this barrel is the portion that extrudes out. And that portion then has the tire pressure, the numbers on it. There's two different scales for these. One that goes 0 to 110 psi, and one that goes from 0 to 50 psi. So obviously for our Model A's, we'd use the 1 to 50. For 8-ply truck tires, they might use the 1 to 110. Then there's the second part is a spring. And inside that spring is what I call a sock. So that was the elastic number that would expand. As that sock elongates, it pushes the spring down, which pushes the inner barrel down. And that's what demonstrates the PSI.
Look at that, you can make that.
This part is screwed into the barrel. There's another cap here that's screwed into the barrel, which holds the elastic part in. Then there's the part that you see where where it's got a center button with rubber. That's what seals on the end of the valve stem to keep the pressure on the inside. And then there's the cap that holds this all together. So it was a matter of figuring out how it comes apart. Next slide. And figuring out why it doesn't work. That elastic sock was made out of something that wouldn't, rubber or some elastic material that's no longer elastic. Either it's totally brittle or it's gummy. The other reason it couldn't work is because of the interface of the valve stem to the gauge itself, or the body and the inside cylinder is bent so it can't slide. So the way these operated was that the air pressure would push it out, but you'd have to push it back in. Next slide. So I figured out that I needed to replace the sock and explored around to find castable rubber, just basically a two-part epoxy that is elastic. And there's different durometers out there. So The 0 to 50 is 1 durometer. The 0 to 110 is a softer durometer, so it's, I'm sorry, it's a harder durometer, so it doesn't expand so much. So it needs to be a 3-part mold. And it's probably easiest to understand all this if you look at the parts that I have here after we take break. But the 3-part mold basically creates an next picture, please.
What? Okay,
Next.
sorry.
Sure. Next one. The 3-part mold produces a sock that looks like this. Now, there's a flange, a smaller hole. The inside of this sock is bigger than the small hole. So you have to be able to take this mold apart in order to get the part out. Well, back to, sorry. So that's why there's 3 parts. So the flange is actually produced right in this lower area. This is the hole, the small hole in the sock. This is the center of the sock. Next slide. That's just a top view of what the mold looks like. Next view. And that's the new sock now. Next view. So there's an old one on the bottom, a new one on the top, obviously. It took some experimenting to get the right dimensions, because how can you get dimensions from this? This is brittle, this is hard. But I got it so that it works for mine. I restored one for Dale. Did you ever try it out?
Oh, yeah.
It works. It's fairly accurate. I mean, what do you want? Phil,
I assume accuracy depends on how elastic or inelastic that new mold or that new rubber thing is, right?
yes. So this multiple rubber sets up in overnight, and to get it apart, you have to. Now remember, the inner part of the sock is bigger than the hole, so you have to push that out. So I just put it in my lathe and used the chuck to drive an eject pin in from the end. Next one. So now the pin is in all the way, so the sock is now inside the chuck jaws. Next one. We're done. So again, it's easiest to understand what I did by looking at the parts. So yeah. So the mold is no larger than this, just 3 parts.
I don't know. Does this focus right?
Yeah, it's, if you look at where you're at the camera,
Yep.
real close. Real close. Bring it up.
Yeah, isn't working too well, but. So that's the finished things. The finished parts.
How many times would you have to try different formulations to get it to expand right?
Probably 6 or 8 times with 3 different durometers to get the right durometer. Durometer is the hardest to run.
So that's was going to be my question. You can control the elasticity by changing the chemical mix of it. Okay.
Correct.
So So you buy this stuff. And then it comes in different harnesses, and then you were mixing it, or?
It's like a two-part epoxy, but it's not epoxy, it's rubber.
But I mean, you put in different, amounts of the different part A's?
No,
No.
no, different. From the manufacturer, you buy different kits of different parameters. So you don't mix one kit with the other kit, you mix eight kits.
We had actually 8 kits.
Yeah,
So you got a durometer kit that you bought, and then you're figuring out how to use this with a mold, and then you restored a truck tire pressure.
yeah, a bunch of them.
Holy cow. My shot. It's like, what the heck? That's impressive.
But it's just a show thing, right? You're not gonna use it for any accuracy. It's just, why have one of these in your toolbox if it doesn't move?
But you can prove it.
Same as all the others.
How many different options do they have that you can order for the different elasticities?
If you go to MasterCard and look up moldable rubber, there's 5 or 6 different kits that you can choose from.
Hey Jerry, how many of those socks do you get out of the kit? 20, 30?
Yeah, 30, 40.
Wow.
So,
But you only do one at a time, so that's 30 or 40 days.
All right. And how much is the kit?
I don't know, $15.
Jeez, that's amazing.
so if you can get 30 or 40 of them out of a kit, you have to mix this 2-part stuff together, right?
Yep.
So you're making 30 or 40 at a time?
No. One at a time.
One at a time?
Just mix it 30 or 40 times.
Oh, so you only just put like 1 drop of this and 1 drop of that, it's equal parts?
Yep.
Ah.
Enough to mold the parts.
I get it,
Sorry.
but it's like, I was thinking, oh my God, you gotta mix it all together at the same time, get it done.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm a little slow today.
No, if you need
No,
30,
not really.
if you need 30 molds, then you can mix it all.
You could do one.
Yeah, make a 30 up mold for supplying the entire country with it.
Ken has a question.
Yeah, Ken.
You know, is Schrader still in business?
Oh, yeah.
And so, you think theoretically, you could pick up the phone, if you're talking to the right guy, he could explain to you what they used back in the day.
I tried that.
Only use real rubber.
You know, it's patented, right? You'd think that you could learn something from the patent, but it doesn't, the patent doesn't say anything about that sock. It just talks about the components and it says an elastic number. I've contacted Schrader and they don't have any records going back to them. The other thing.
It was just, really interesting, but, that's a lot of work to fix one lousy tire gauge that's gonna have sitting on the shelf. If we wanna fix ours, how much do you get for one of those?
That all depends how good a friend you are.
Yours might be shit at spending.
I just enjoy doing stuff and exploring and fixing it. Mark,
Okay, so the one you show is like purple.
yeah,
Okay. Relating this to other rubber Model A parts that maybe aren't available. A bumper on some part of someone's car or something. Can you color that stuff to like make it black?
You have to do on it. You get points taken off.
The three different ones that I worked with, Mark, were either this purple or bluish or white. Pure white, not clear, but white.
Okay.
I don't know if you would color it, if that would interfere with the chemical curing.
But once it's assembled, reassembled, you'll never see the blue.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, you were opening up and closing it a little bit there on the finished one. You had it fully extended. And there's no blue that I saw.
Right, because there's that cap that actually depresses the valve stem center.
Yeah.
If you go back to the 6-part there, no, there. So that part is black rubber. Like.
Yeah, it doesn't show up.
So what is the part that actually tells you that you've got how many PSI?
Inside this tube is another tube that extends out.
Oh, there's another tube that's not showing? Okay,
And it's got a number.
that's got the numbers in it. Okay, because I never really looked at a tire pressure gauge for a truck.
Hey, Jerry?
We'll pass it around. Was that?
Perfect.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. And maybe Paul Shin might know this too, I don't know. I've got a panel delivery. And on the back end of it, there were 2 rubber bumpers that when you open the back doors, that the door would rest against.
Sure.
Now, I've heard that there's a panel delivery club on Facebook. And I guess there was a guy that was making them, but I'm not sure. As far as I know, I don't know where I'd ever get them. But I need them like in black. So I'd certainly like to experiment to see if we could make one and colorize it. What they did is they just pushed them in to the metal casing.
Sure.
Looks like a mushroom kind of.
So that's probably in the range of, I'm guessing 90 millimeter, fairly hard. Obviously, these molded parts are 30 and 40 diameter. But you can get kits going up to 90 diameter for like a bumper like that.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you get one of those long pencil kind of with the clip, do they have an elastic thing inside?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a high pressure.
I thought they only made digital ones now.
Right. Better off.
I think there's just a spring in there.
Okay.
I think it's just a spring.
Because they don't return.
I work in injection molding, we have colored dyes. You probably have colored black dye.
Everybody hear that? Injection molding, you can add a powder dye to it, probably turn it black. Bill,
Jerry, you said that your gauges after you had them rebuilt were approximately accurate. Got any idea how accurate they were to begin with? Probably nobody does.
I don't know, but the ones that I've redone are within 5 pounds.
Oh. Jerry, did you have an existing gauge that you used as a control to get, to gauge, like?
For sure, modern gauge.
Yeah.
With Model 8 tire with 35 PSI.
Right.
So if I got 35 on the modern gauge, I would hope to get somewhere close to that on a rebuilt gauge.
Yeah.
I don't know, 30 to 40.
Jerry, what's the difference between the high and low pressure ones? This is a high pressure one.
Yeah.
The more common is the low pressure one. What's the internal difference?
Just the diameter of the sock of the elastic part inside, and the marks on the barrel that extends out.
So I may have missed this when I was making my cookie delivery, but So this little sucker here, this will stretch out that far.
Yeah.
Any other questions with that?
No, that's enough.
My only question was, when Jerry started this project, he called me up and he says, Dale, can you turn, was it 128 threads per inch? Something like that. And I went and looked, and I go, yeah, I can. He says, could you make me this part? I go, sure. Okay, he brought it over. He was kind of secretive about it. He gave me this thing. And I'm like, well, what do I turn it to? I gotta have something to mate it to. Well, have you got one of them gauges? I says, yeah. He says, what do I do with it? He says, well, take it apart. Well, I got an education. How do you do this? How do you take it apart? Now what do you do?
I just looked it up and you're absolutely right. The pen gauges have a spring and it pushes it out, but internal friction within the gauge keeps it springing back. It's not connected. It's pushing it back. Leave it there.
What? That's what I did this? What'd you do with the rest of it? Huh?
So the threads that I asked Dale to turn for me on his lathe are the threads that screw internally into the barrel. And he just gave me a bar length of threads. And then I machined it down to the little cap that goes on the end. Because I was missing one. I lost it.
Oh, it wasn't for the making of this mold.
No,
Oh.
no, it's
Darn, I started figuring into the part. Can you type?
Did you explain how you made the mold?
I didn't explain how I made the mold. I have a toy lathe at home. So I just turned the parts. But my lathe wouldn't do the 120 threads per inch that Dale's lathe can. So I asked him for basically bar stock. We call it bar stock. So just a bar that's threaded maybe 2 or 3 inches long. Then I cut that up to make this little cap.
He's very secretive about it. And yeah, when he finally told me what I was doing, I was thinking the same thing you guys were.
You want to go one step further of how insane I am?
I stopped now.